Good evening, folks. Could I ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? This is the Red Hook Town Board meeting of September 11th. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if I could ask you to remain standing for one moment, if we could take a moment of silence on this day. Thank you very much. Amanda, if you'd be kind enough to scroll over towards the big screen for the folks at home. This is the agenda we'll be discussing this evening. And we may jump around a little bit in order because we have some folks who are here who need to travel a fair distance homeward. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Amanda. Okay, so it's the first meeting of the month, and as always, we start off the meeting with the supervisor's report. Essentially, this is a financial accounting of your money, and what has transpired within the period ending August 31st. And we started with an opening balance of $5,704,000 and change. We had receipts of $219,000 and change. Disbursements of a little over or almost $320,000. So we have an ending balance of $5,603,000, 154. We have, Harry, you've probably found our Community Preservation Fund. All right, we've got over $1 million in that fund, and we'll be talking about that very briefly tonight as well. We have a very few budget adjustments in your packet. Line items where we have additional expenses, and then a few line items where we have additional revenues and some grant funds coming in. Building permits seem to be up above our expectation. And we've had to increase allocations for diesel and gasoline since the prices of those items have increased, but we also increased the return of those monies that we bill out for other entities, the village and fire company as well. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to both approve the supervisor's report and the budget adjustments?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All right, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and you have your variance reports, monthly variance reports as well. If you have any questions about that. We also have, next up is the town clerk report. Sue?
Month report, August 2018. Total local shares remitted to supervisor as town revenue, $1,311.83. Amount remitted to New York Ag and Market for their spayed and neutered program, $53. Amount remitted to New York Department of Health for marriage licenses, $135, and amount remitted to New York State Environmental Conservation, $3,149.17, for a total state, county, and local revenue of $4,649. And this is pursuant to Section 27, Sub 1 of the Town Law. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a full and true statement of all fees and monies collected by me, Sue McCann, Town Clerk, during the period stated above in connection with my office. And I also just have 2 abstracts that the bookkeeper passed to me today. So this is May of 2018, and this is voucher number 23368 through 23475. For a total abstract of $152,346.44. And I hereby certify that the vouchers numbered, as I stated, processed in the month of May, are an accurate reporting of the abstracts approved for payment by the town board. And June 2018, and the total abstract is $656,551.92. And I hereby certify that vouchers number 23476 through 23681 processed in the month of June are an accurate reporting of the abstracts approved for payment by the town board. And that is my report.
Thank you very much, Sue. Next up, we have announcements, and I have a few this evening, and several of them that pertain to events coming up in the next few days. So if you are at home and miss the opportunity for these events, please do reach out to my office and I'll see if I can get you some information about them. The first one is primary election. Would have been taking place this evening, but has been rescheduled for this Thursday. You will be voting in your normal or usual polling locations. That's good to know. If you have any questions, please go to the Dutchess County Board of Elections website. What's different this year, I may have mentioned at a previous meeting, is that folks in the county legislature and also my colleagues and I in the County Board of Supervisors and Mayors pushed for expansion of primary hours, and so the polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. to have greater access for residents to be able to express themselves at the polls. We have some great events coming up. Hardscrabble Day is this Saturday. There are several bands that are playing. One, I guess the headline band, Doug, is the Weight Band. I won't pretend to know who they are, but that doesn't mean much because I wouldn't necessarily be the expert on music groups. So that's Hardscrabble Day, and it kicks off around 10 a.m., 11 a.m., something like that?
Around 10.
Around 10 o'clock.
10 to 10.
10 to 10, okay, it's a long day. There is going to be an information session tomorrow night for particular neighbors of the Mill Pond. It's an information session about a grant application that was sent out last month regarding a very interesting project where there'll be potentially a micro hydro installation, a very small installation underground next to the dam at the Mill Road. And it will also have the ability to drain some of the pond in advance of severe weather. As you all know, there's a Category 4 hurricane headed towards the East Coast, and as part of our strategy to try to mitigate some of the damage and to maintain that dam, it's a privately owned dam, there's an application to do a very interesting project. So if you'd like to find out more about it, it's tomorrow night at the Elks Lodge from 6 to 8 p.m. at 7711 Albany Post Road. My last announcement is something I'm very excited to tell you about. For years, the seniors in our community have been reaching out to me to ask about transportation and how they can better get around in this community. And so last year, I endeavored to apply for a federal grant and had the help of Sarah and Ann Rubin, who filled out the grant to get 2 electric passenger vans to transport seniors and folks, they call it disabilities, we'll call it special challenges, around our community. And we were sent a notice here by the Department of Transportation that we in fact will be awarded that grant. The match is coming from the Ascensio Foundation. And so it's very exciting, as you can see. It falls in very nicely with our plan to address not only emissions, but also bringing together all the folks in our community. We have our 4 charging stations already here at Town Hall, so it's going to work really well. So I'm very excited about that. And kudos to everyone who pitched in and also advocated for this. So thank you very much for that. And that's the last announcement that I have. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? If not, we'll jump into the
Robert,
agenda.
what's this hazardous waste thing?
Oh, yes, thank you. Hazardous waste. There is a county hazardous waste event that is taking place in October. So we have some more time for that one, but if you want to put it on your calendar, October 26th, you must register for the event by October 5th. It's taking place at 96 Sand Dock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And you can get rid of things like hazardous chemicals, oil-based paint, pesticides, mercury, fluorescent bulbs, and more in a cost-effective and environmentally sound manner.
I think you might want to note that this is non-resident.
Right.
This is an opportunity for non-residents.
Non-resident,
As in
for
as
small
businesses,
quantity
businesses.
generate, small
Right.
business though,
Farm,
just so
small
you know,
businesses.
it's 220 pounds or approximately 26 gallons of non-acute hazardous waste per month. That's how they define it. Okay, very good. So any other announcements that I may have forgotten or somebody would like to add?
I think we should just make a habit of reminding people we have a new website now, redhook.org, same URL, totally different look. And if you go up at the top, there's a link, really clear link called Notify Me, and there you'll find a list of a bunch of lists that you can subscribe to, either specific departments if you're only interested in that, or general lists, and then you can get all the press releases and calendar notifications and emergency alerts and all kinds of good stuff, so.
We can send it
I
to your
think we should
email.
probably, send it to email or text.
Or
so
text, so that's really handy.
We should probably just announce that for like 6
next
months
few
or
days.
something.
Okay.
You'll get tired of it. But definitely subscribe.
And we'd like your advice on it. We're still working out the kinks. I think that's fair to say. We're all learning the system, so we appreciate your patience with that. Okay, very good. Since we have our engineer here with us, we're doing public comment, sorry. Yes. Linda, you got up there first, public
That's right.
comment. Go ahead.
Linda Keeling, Pitcher Lane. Okay, several months ago, I spoke to you about Norman Gregg not paying his 2017 taxes, and he didn't get any fees. The 2018 taxes showed the fees. Now, all of a sudden, these late fees are missing. I want to know, how can other residences get the same ability to have this done to their taxes?
Can I ask what you're talking about?
Okay.
Because I collect the tax.
Okay, in 2017 and 2018, he now has not paid taxes. 2017, the late fees didn't show up. As soon as I talked about it, all of a sudden the 2018 late fees showed up. Now they're gone.
On the computer you're talking about?
Yeah,
Well, that's because the season is done, so they took off the late fees. I don't collect anymore.
late fees are wiped out?
No.
They're into your text.
They're added to the tax bill. There's a certain percentage that goes
Okay.
on monthly. So if he paid his tax bill not on time, he paid a fee. He paid a
Okay.
penalty.
All right, well, okay, on to the next thing. Point 2, town website. It says at the top it's not secure. Can that be changed somehow?
I don't Where
top
where-
left,
okay.
front page, not
On-
secure.
I'm not seeing that, so I'm not sure where on your screen you're seeing
Okay.
that. Like, it could be in your browser, you mean in the top, maybe the address bar?
It's right in the top, yeah,
Like, before the HTTP
yeah.
colon,
Mhm.
okay.
And
I don't know, yeah, I can look into that, I'm not sure exactly what that would mean, but it definitely is.
also, I
on-
cannot see the full pictures. The white is over it.
Oh, yeah, you mean the, like the calendar and
Yeah,
the
the
press release?
white
Yeah,
information is over it.
Yeah, but you can see most of it, right? It's like
No.
90%.
No.
Most people can't, I would say most people see too much of the picture, so I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Okay. I've also looked through, and there's finally the minutes on a lot of the pages, but there's information missing. I've noticed, maybe I should just be sending this
Yeah, you
information
should-
to you.
You're welcome.
The
There's
the
three
assessor
pages,
has
yeah.
pages on there that are from, it says, send it 2013. I mean, come on. Let's get the right information up there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, we're a small government. We don't have a dedicated
Well,
webmaster, so we do the best we
Dick
can.
Wambach did a fine job with what he was
He
doing. The
did.
first page was a little cluttered, it should have been more archived, but I could get to everything.
But I would say, Linda, that everything that was on the old website has now been transferred to the new one. So if there's something specific you can't find from the old site, let me know. And otherwise, it's just a matter of departments catching up on, you know, documents and things that they may need to put on the site. And if you want to send myself an email, or Robert's secretary, Jackie Fenaroli, is doing a lot of the web administration, and then we can get that to the right department. You can also always email the departments directly, like the assessor's office has been trained. A lot of the departments have been trained to do it themselves, but they are, you know, they're gonna have to work that into their workflow because it's a new tool. So we definitely want your feedback, because sometimes the only way we're gonna know what you are missing
Yeah,
is
for
if you tell us.
most other towns, when they announce that their new website is up, it's complete. Yours.
How many other towns have you experienced their web rollouts? I'm just curious.
I go all over
Because
the
generally
place.
I haven't, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't do that by showing something that's partially done. And the minutes weren't showing up for a long time. I mean, minutes are very
It's a
important.
transition, Linda. It's gonna be a really nice website. Give us a chance.
Well, right now, it looks like a junior high kid did it, and I'm sure that they could do a better job. So I'm disappointed in the way it looks for the time then, so.
Any-
I want it to improve, so I will send you information to help you improve it.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Linda. All right. Very good, we're gonna jump, oh, Kenny, I'm sorry, of course you wanted to talk, come, yes.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. I'd like to revisit the Freeborn Lane change of ownership that started maybe a year ago. And be nice if we could move forward on what the decision is going to be. And I'm willing to put up monies for escrow. You know, hopefully it's not $1 million. And, so, you know, what is the, what do we need to do to move this forward?
Okay, we are moving it forward. There are some things we need to do at our end, and I have to apologize that we're not moving as fast as you would have liked, and we're not moving as fast as I would have liked. But
Okay.
we are moving it forward at this point, so.
So what's the next phase?
The next phase is I'm gonna reach out to you,
Okay,
and we're gonna come up with an estimate of an escrow account.
okay.
For
And
you.
the escrow is gonna be used for,
It's going to be used for legal review, it's gonna be used for planning review. I mean, all the things that are going to be considered so that the town board can make a decision, and we'll discuss with you sort of an estimate of maybe what we think that escrow might be. But because you are making a request of the town,
Okay.
we cannot share that expense with taxpayers.
right.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, the road has been closed, it's approaching 30 years. So I think if the town were to do something with the road, it would have been done with, so,
Okay,
okay. Point of information.
thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right. Would anybody else like to make some public comment? Okay. Thank you very much. we will now jump into our agenda, and I think if we could we combine 4 and 3? So let's, we have our engineer, Randy Nelson from Ty and Bond, working on the recreational needs assessment update on Rec Park West, and we also want to let folks know, item number 3, that we've been notified by the Greenway, or actually by Winnicke Land Trust, that they are going to receive their grant to create the parking and trailhead and connection on Rec Park West as part of the V2V trail system. And that grant is for $75,000 to be matched with another $75,000. So that's really terrific news. And why don't we segue right into number 4, Brandy Nelson. Did you want to give us just a quick report? I understand that's kind of a update on where you are and where you're going. Is that right?
Yes, thank you. For the record, I'm Brandy Nelson, Ty and Bond. At the meeting a month ago, when we talked about recreational needs assessment for athletic fields, I had said that we would be pursuing a timeline of about 6 weeks to have that report back to you. This is about the 4-week mark, and it said we'd come and just provide an update at this point in time. So in general, where we're at as far as the assessment is that we have conducted an inventory of all the municipally owned fields in the town. So that's the 2 softball fields at Rec Park East, the 90-foot baseball diamond at Rec Park East, and the Stephen Kuhn Memorial Field, which is a 60-foot diamond in the village of Tivoli. We've made observations about the size, dimensions of those fields, just so that we can be in a position to evaluate what their full scope of use may be. In addition, we have evaluated the condition of those fields, and we have also completed a desktop assessment of the high school field facilities and the Father Carroll Field. Right now, we are in information gathering phase for the programming uses on those fields. We've been gathering information from Robin Bruno, the clerk in the Village of Tivoli, who does the programming for the Tivoli Park. We have been working with John Kuhn on scheduling, getting the detailed information on the various rec park programming and scheduling of athletic fields. And we have been working to reach the athletic director at the school district regarding programming that the school has both at school fields and at municipally owned fields. That information, he's been very busy because school's starting. We are actually scheduled to meet with him tomorrow to get that information. That's very important to be able to round out the narrative around how athletic fields are being used. In addition, we've been working with Sarah and the supervisor and John and Doug to put together a community survey. And I don't know if Sarah's got any comment as to where we are with that. I think we're close to being able to post it onto the website, so maybe
tonight, probably.
You think so?
Yeah, I just need to finish. I've got like more than half of questions since I talked to you.
Okay.
So there's just one question left that's taking a lot of time because of the way it has to be inputted. But one of the features of our new website is that we can make forms that are like surveys where people can fill them out and press submit, and it gets emailed right to whoever needs to receive it. In this case, I have right now, and I think the supervisor's office, rec, and you guys as recipients, and so it's going to be really exciting. And I would say for people watching this for sure from home, that'll be aired next Monday, right? For sure it will be up for you and for everybody here. Let's say check back tomorrow morning, but it'll be, your office will probably release a press release, or maybe the rec department. Yep. Somebody will, and it'll be on the homepage, and then we'll also put it on the rec department page, so it'll be there. And then people can share it on Facebook from there, whoever wants to go to the site and copy the link and share it around, great. It gets once you put it up as a press release, it'll go out as an email blast, so anyway, it'll go out starting tomorrow. And
Yeah, that should be good. So thank you very much for your work on that, because I know it's been an extra time commitment. So we'll be doing the community survey, so that'll be sort of the third prong of outreach. Once we have all that data, then what we're doing is we're processing the data to be able to provide you a full picture, sort of envisioning it as a matrix of what are the available facilities, who are the users, and what is the use, and then provide you with the information to be able to make decisions about whether or not there's adequacy in those facilities or extra capacity or the need for additional facilities. So at this point, I believe we're on track still to have a full report to you by the end of the month. So if your agenda allows, we could be on that agenda, or we could look at an early October agenda, whichever is better for you guys.
Well, let's see how things progress.
Sure.
Hopefully you'll get the meetings you need to, and we'll get input from the public. I think we're looking for input on usage of the existing fields. We're also looking for, I know there was some interest in having more open-ended questions. What else would you like to see in your recreational facilities in the future? And so questions to that effect are part of the survey. So we do want to make sure that we get folks participating in that. Okay.
Great.
Well, thank you very much, Brandy. I appreciate it. All right. Well, shall we go to item number 1, which is the Red Church Cemetery. So we have been doing a lot of work since we acquired the wonderful Red Church Cemetery on Route 9G, just north of the Tivoli intersection. And there's a terrific committee doing a lot of work, and employees doing a lot of maintenance.
May I ask how that was acquired?
How it was acquired?
Was it purchased or just signed over to the town? That's a simple question.
Being from the Bronx myself, Kenny, I always know when you're ribbing me. That cemetery was abandoned.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
There's like a formal process, so
By
it's a
state,
little
by
more
state
formal
law,
than
it
like
came to us.
We have to accept it.
Okay.
The committee running it is a nonprofit. They decided they couldn't handle it anymore. They turned it over to the town.
Oh, okay.
So we've been working with them, Jackie and Hildegard maybe, who have been running it. And so
Yeah.
they've been working with us to come up with what we're about to
It's
talk
been a
about.
challenge.
Yeah, and there's a whole state process because this is happening everywhere,
Right.
and there's a whole grant program that I think we've applied to, right, for funding for equipment
Yes, we have not heard
to
about
maintain,
that
so,
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole
And we're gonna
process.
cut the grass with sheep, like Trinity Church in Manhattan has sheep there for a few weeks. So it sounds like a great idea that we should have some sheep in the cemetery.
And it'll get fertilized also.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's stick with the program here, okay? All right, so we have several things here. We have a local law which we need to enact in order to conduct the kind of business that we need to conduct. And that is a local law E proposed of 2018. And it's to enact legislation to authorize the adoption of fees in connection with the cemetery. Obviously, we can't run the cemetery without charging appropriate fees to those folks who would like to use it for the purposes enumerated. So that is local law E. We need to have a public hearing for that. Did you all have any questions about this very brief law?
Will that be put on the website?
To empower that, yes, it will.
It will be,
Yeah.
when it's a public notice, there's a section
Will
for
green
public
burials be
notices.
allowed there?
Okay, folks, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna entertain people just calling up from the office. I apologize. As much as I want to hear from you, we do have to maintain order in the room. Thank you.
But when the public notice is put out, then people can read the local law for themselves and then come to the public hearing and
Yes.
ask questions.
And actually, you can just email questions. Be happy to answer questions, or pick up a phone, and as you know, my office is, the door is always open. You're welcome to drop it. Okay, so local law E, we need to establish a public hearing for that. Our next meeting is September 26th. I believe we do have time for a 10-day notice on that. Sue, is that correct? Okay, very good. Did you all have any questions about this draft? I know you've seen this for a while now. It's very short and sweet. If not, then I would entertain a motion for resolution number 50 dated September 11th, 2018, calling for a public hearing on the adoption of the town, by the town board of local law E regarding Red Church Cemetery. I see we have it called for October 9th in this draft, so I think we
So
can
you
go
want to
ahead
do
and do
September?
September 26th. I think we can do that, right, Bill? I know you won't be here for that.
Yeah,
but-
that's right.
Okay. 7:35,
Don't we have something at 7:35 already? That's-
we do CDBG. How about 7:45? Thank you, Sue. Is that, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
So moved.
All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. So have you had a chance to take a look at both the correspondence that would be sent out to the various funeral services, the draft cemetery plot deed, the price sheet, the rules and regulations? I've given you both the red line and the latest draft.
Yep.
Many thanks to the committee and to our attorney for working on all this. I think it's going to work well for us.
The whole seems fine to me. Is this, are they based on what was in place before and we've edited them, or are they from a different?
No, they're based on what was there before but edited, and a lot of cases edited because you're a public entity and they were a private entity, so there are some differences because of that. It's just
Yeah.
functionally, we have to operate a little bit differently. Certainly, the committee may continue to review these and work with these structures as time goes on, and you can revisit the rules, at a later date if the committee decides that they want to recommend something different. But we need to start with something.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I would make a motion that we adopt the rules and regulations, the price sheet. And I don't know that we need an adoption for the correspondence. That is resolution number 51, dated September 11th. It's approving the rules and regulations and authorizing the schedule of fees and approving the operations plan for Red Church Cemetery. And it talks about how a dedicated trust has been established for those specific purposes, and that we've adopted rules and regulations and fees associated with operating the Red Church Cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. A very large thank you to John Kuhn, who's been operating as the cemetery manager, to our town clerk, Sue McCann, who has also been very involved with our records and is going to be handling records that date back, how long, Sue?
A long time.
A long time.
I don't know if
There
it's
are folks that have been buried
Yes.
there for a couple hundred years, I
Yes,
believe.
very long
right?
time.
So,
And
that-
again to Jackie and Hildegard.
and
for-
to Jackie and Hildegard for doing this for, we don't even want to say how many years. And to the folks who were nice enough to compliment on how well the cemetery is being maintained under our
Public hearing resolution.
very short period of time here. Okay, so agenda item number 2 is a discussion of the New York State SALT workaround. So what am I talking about? The state and local tax deduction limitation of $10,000. As you know, the federal tax bill had, well, we know here in Red Hook, had a huge impact on many of our residents. The availability of deducting The property taxes, and I think we all received our school tax bill within the last couple of days, has been curtailed for many of our residents with this new tax bill. You can only deduct up to $10,000 of your state and local taxes. That's income taxes, that's your property taxes, including your school taxes. And so New York State, the legislature, the governor's office, and everyone tried to figure out a workaround for that. And the IRS has issued a ruling recently saying that they will not honor essentially most of those dollars or almost all of those dollars as a donation. And so therefore, the ability to enact a program based upon the legislation that was adopted up in Albany, at this point, it would be very little benefit to do that here locally. So this ruling last month in August essentially says very few of those dollars will be available for deduction. So I'm sorry to report to our taxpayers that we are feeling the effect of those taxes, even greater in the 2019 year. This does not take effect until you file your 2019 form for 2018 taxes. Okay, sorry to be the purveyor of bad news there. Item number 5, moving right along, is a resolution to approve extension of the agreement for professional services between the town of Red Hook and BRI Environmental Services for operation of the town water district. And we have had this firm, I think now for 3 years running or so. We have a contract with them with annual extensions, and we have correspondence from our chair of the water board that they recommend that we extend this contract. And so we have resolution number 52, is that right, Sue?
That's correct.
Dated September 11th, authorizing the renewal of the agreement for professional services water system operator. That's the person who checks on a daily basis the mechanisms associated with the water district and the infrastructure. And whereas an agreement was entered into on January 1st, 2016 between the town and BRI, and we've exercised previous options to renew in 17 and 18, it's been recommended that we exercise that option for 2019, and that's what this resolution allows. It's resolution number 52. And I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about it? Okay. I think they're very happy with the way things are going. You have all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, we are moving right along. Discussion, resolution, district proceedings with the Hoffman Additional Neighborhood Development. That's the development that was approved back in 2015. Is that about right, Christine? The Hoffman development?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a while, yeah.
it's been a while.
2016,
16.
The approval was 16?
planning board.
Final approval? Okay, very good. So there are some districts that need to be created as part of this development, and that's where the town board enters into the process. And so Chris Shaw, our expert, will walk us through what we are doing this evening.
Yes, thank you. So part of the planning board process involved authorizing approval of the project conditioned on a number of items. And a few of those items involved the provision of certain types of services for this fairly unique development. Because it is in the TUD and it's designed to be a fairly dense development like a village. It has different features than some of the other areas in the town. So one of those features is a system of sidewalks And because of the requirement that road right-of-ways be a certain width, those sidewalks are necessarily within the town's right-of-way. So the solution that was arrived at was to create a sidewalk district that would allow the assessment, in order to pay the cost of maintenance of those sidewalks, they will be put in by the developer. So there's a petition by the developer that's been submitted along with the required map plan and report. This is part of the process that's required by the state law in order to set up an assessment district like this. And in this case, because there is a single owner for all of the properties, that petition is signed by the owner, so that it's the town, and then the town would need to hold a public hearing on whether or not to establish the district in accordance with the town law. The district is intended to serve as a backup. It's characterized as a backup district because if the HOA, the homeowners association, maintains the sidewalks as is contemplated, then there wouldn't be a need for the town to take over the responsibility. So it essentially serves as a backup. So that is the first district that's being considered. I'm just going to explain perhaps each of them, and then we can take the resolutions. The second one is similar, but there's a proposal for a backup storm drainage system. Again, it's intended that the HOA would maintain certain features. The reason that these involve the town is that the way that these, and we have our engineer here, so she can help us explain this if need be, but the way that the storm drainage features are designed, they necessarily are capturing both drainage from areas that are privately owned and the roads that are being constructed. So if and when the town accepts the roads as public roads, then there will be sort of a need for those to be maintained for the benefit of both. So there's a backup, again, storm drainage district that would allow the town to levy assessments against the benefit of properties if and when the town accepts the roads and it becomes necessary for the town to do something to maintain those districts. Again, it's intended that the HOA would be responsible for those. So that's what that petition and report. And again, we have a petition submitted by the owner, and that's backed up by a professional engineer's report. I mean, those engineering reports, by the way, are prepared by LRC Group, professional engineers, for all three of these, actually. And the final one is a lighting district. As you know, we have several lighting districts within the town. We've consolidated them. This district initially would stand alone. It could potentially be later consolidated, but initially it would be set up to stand alone. There are specific lighting requirements that the planning board has implemented in the planning board approval resolution. The site plan calls out very specific types of lights that are required, and the map plan report now references those as opposed to trying to create a different list. So we originally were in reviewing these. We appreciated the assistance of our town engineer who reviewed the reports and gave feedback. Those reports are reissued to make the proposed lighting district consistent with what the planning board approved. So that's a fairly technical set of requirements. So that map planner report is presented with a petition again of the owner to create a special lighting district for that area. So those are the three resolutions. So what we have is, in each case, in order calling a public hearing upon petition of the owner, which recites that we have a petition signed by the owner and a map planner report prepared by the engineers, again, the LRC Group, not our engineers, to describe the boundaries of the district, which is the entire 102 residential units, and the proposed cost for each of those districts, and then recites that we would hold a public hearing, I think September 26th again, Sue, if we can make that date. We would set September 26th, and we'll need to set times for each of those to be held.
Yeah, maybe 7:55, so we're looking at resolutions 53 and 54, but before we get on to that, we do need to, because our orders calling the public hearing and the petition did not have those final amounts, which we do now have.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we take it one at a time, shall we?
Yeah, so we did send those to Jackie, but we do have an order calling public hearing for the lighting district. Let's start with
Okay.
that, okay?
So page 2 of the lighting district, if
Correct.
you would, folks.
So the annual expense,
So this is a resolution, correct?
this is an order calling a public hearing, but you can give it a resolution number.
And we have a separate one.
So there's 3 different ones. There's one for each type of district because the proceedings are different. For example, the lighting district is an ad valorem assessment versus the drainage district has to be benefited, so different process.
Okay, so you want to give
Let's
these
start with the
resolution
lighting.
numbers?
Sure,
That'd
because
be
then
easier
it's
that
keeping
way.
track.
All right, why don't we call lighting district resolution 53 of 9/11?
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, and so that, the numbers in there, construction costs estimated to be in the first year $600.72, with an estimated annual charge. The assumed assessed value of $350,000, again, that's a median household price, assumed for the purpose of this report, in the first year of operation, and that would be $28.61 per household of that size.
okay.
Okay, that's the estimated cost,
I'm sorry, what's the first number there?
600.72.
Okay.
And the, let's see, the,
Public hearing, why don't we do that while we're on the same page?
yes,
Okay, so that would be
Did you say
September
7:55?
26th at 7:55 PM. We'll give 10 minutes for each public hearing. And so that's resolution 53, and I so move. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Want to do backup storm drainage district?
Storm, okay,
Absolutely.
so that's 54.
4.
All right, so the, the cost of the improvements, the annual expense estimated for that one is $19,950. Again, that comes from the map plan report that's prepared by the engineers, and that is reviewed by our engineers. So the annual charge,
Same
for
assessed
the
value.
same assessed value, $350,000 in the first year of operation, so $196 per unit. And then, so that would be 7, you want to make that 7 or 8 o'clock?
Make it 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, so
Make it 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. Your annual
So
cost you have is...
19,950,
Yeah,
the
there
value
you
of
go.
$350,000 and $196.
$196. So that...
Again, that's assuming full build out, so that's
Okay.
assuming full build out, which they won't all be built on the first year, but.
Okay. That's resolution number 54 of September 11th, and I so move. Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. So we have resolution number 55, that's also another order. We'll call it for 8:05 PM on September 26th. And this is for the backup sidewalk district.
So this estimated cost, again, in that second whereas clause on page 2, is $11,700. And for an assessed value of $350,000 in the first year of operation, the cost of $115 per household.
So the sidewalk's gonna cost $11,700 for that little stretch?
Well,
That seems like
that's the
sufficient dollars.
estimate
It's
in the
throughout
engineering
the
report.
whole development.
They are assuming, let's see, they were
The
using
annual expense of
small storm
maintaining is
events.
$11,700
Snow
for that.
plowing, ice removal, yes.
So they have, again, this is just an estimate, so that for the purpose of giving people a reasonable estimate for considering the public hearing, small storm events, 7 a year, large storm events, 7 a year, ice events, 6 a year, for a total of 20 events. So that's what they use for, they assign certain costs to each one of those types of events. $200, again, this is full build out, so.
No, I
for the entire
understand. How many
subdivision.
miles of sidewalk and when it's
It's
fully
about
built?
well, it's about a mile of roadway altogether. And we did talk with Ted Cudsey,
Yeah.
and got his numbers from the last couple of years for sidewalk maintenance that is being contracted out currently, and compared it to the estimate that the developer's engineer provided, just to ground truth it, and it was very consistent.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And the first year of operation following construction is estimated to be
115.
$115 million. Okay.
I think
That's
that's 8:05 PM. for the-
8:05 PM, and that's resolution 55 of September 11th, and I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Very much. All right, so we're now looking at the resolution number 56, which is authorizing the relocation of the drainage easement.
We're not going to consider that.
We're not
tonight.
going to.
It's premature. We're
Okay.
waiting to have some other matters resolved. We have a long list of things that we've been reviewing with the.
Before we tackle this.
Yes.
But this is something we should take a look at between now and the next
Yes,
couple of
absolutely.
meetings. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we won't call that resolution 56. If you
Right.
have
But
any
I
questions,
could
did you want?
explain.
Could you
Right.
please?
I could certainly
Okay.
walk you through these.
Thank you.
So there are a couple of other resolutions which will be presented at a later date, and those include relocation of a drainage easement. There's a current drainage easement that leads off of Old Farm Road back into the development. Where it is located, it would interfere with the planned construction areas that they have for the development, so that they requested that the town allow the relocation of that. And our engineer, again, has reviewed that proposed relocation. They've gone back and forth and made our engineer comfortable that the proposed design of the relocation is feasible and will not interfere with our use of the drainage easement. So we've reviewed again and given comments on a draft of an easement document to allow that to happen. We had to work fairly closely because we need to make sure that we can continue to use that easement while they're under construction with their new one. They can't interfere with our existing use of the easement because obviously the road is the road is the road and needs to continue to discharge and not flood. So we have our engineering plan and we have an easement document that have been prepared and reviewed. So those are what would be approved by this resolution when it's presented to, again, move that drainage line from one place to another. It's not moving a lot, right? It's just relocating it a little bit on the site so that it allows them to put their other roads and utility structures in. So that's one of the resolutions. The other one is a more extensive resolution, which involves the review of a number of items that come to the town board. When a project like this is approved by the planning board, there are a few items that need to come to the town board, and one of them is the approval of an offer, what's called an offer of session for certain types of public improvements, including proposed town roads. The way that an offer of session works is that you get a document from the developer that includes a deed, but the deed isn't recorded. The offer of session says, I will give you this deed, I will sign the deed and give it to you to hold, and you will be able to record it when you want to, if you want to, and only if the town board decides to accept it. The town board would approve the offer of session. The offer of session document says, if and when the town board decides to accept the road, and the highway superintendent decides to accept the road, because both have to decide to accept the road, then you would record the document. So it eliminates the problem of having to deal with this at a later date. And it's a standard part of the process that we have for our highway specs when we have a road offered like this. This hasn't happened in Red Hook for a while, but it's a pretty standard process. The last time I think we closed on one of these was Glen Pond Road, that I recall anyway. So it's been a while since we've taken a new one. In this case, the way that the development is constructed, the planning board approved eight sections. So it's possible that the development will be constructed in 8 sections. It doesn't mean that the town board would ever accept the road in 8 sections. Teresa certainly indicated that she would not approve that because she doesn't want to do this piecemeal. But we still need to, because the sections will be filed, we need to be able to theoretically accept it, because we need to have that control over the potential of a road. So the roads will be constructed by the developer. One of the things that goes along with that is a bond to secure the performance, the construction of the road in accordance with town specifications. So what happens with these types of developments is that the developer's engineer creates documents that would be for the design and construction of a road that meets town specs. They review that, and our engineer then reviews it to make sure that it is in accordance with town specs. Teresa reviews it to make sure that it's in accordance with town specs. So all of those things need to happen before we can proceed with this. So I think we're close, but we're not quite there with some of these other things. So similarly, there's a dedication for roads. There's a proposed dedication for an access easement that relates to the lighting. This has to do a little bit with timing. It's possible to have lighting put in and not have a road accepted by the town. So the easement for lighting would be to be able to get onto the property to replace lights, because you might need to do that. We have to make sure that these things can each work independently. So that's that. Again, there's a temporary snow storage easement, because if you accepted the first loop road, for example, there needs to be a place to put the snow while you don't have the rest of those roads and the rest of the development built out. You have to, with a phased development like this, you have to be able to take things in pieces. Even if you might not intend to do that, you have to structure it so that you can. That's part of what creates a certain amount of complexity with this development. Is that an understatement? And irrevocable, so the next one is a stormwater easement, again, for access to get to the stormwater features, not all, again, different parts of the development, not all of which would be accessed at the same time. So the stormwater easement is to be able to access those through those future town road areas. Then we are still awaiting the approvals of the town engineer and highway superintendent. That's why we're waiting on this resolution. Those are still in process. The MOU is still under discussion with the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority. So that's still an open item that we're reviewing. And similarly, there's a draft agreement between the developer and DCWWA relating to the water and wastewater. So that's still in discussion. So once those are approved, then this resolution will be considered by the town board for all of these issues. And if you would like to review that and ask me any questions either now or give me a call afterwards, and we can go through that. So that's what those are the town board's issues with respect to this development.
And you're working on bond amounts and all that?
Right, that's part of what her letter that is recited in here is something that we are then awaiting for them to finally finish that, come to terms with all of those details, right?
Is this something, when do you expect us to have this on the agenda again? We don't know.
Maybe the end of the month, maybe October, depends on how quickly we get through the rest of these issues. So I think we should have it as a, have it on the agenda for September. We'll see if we can get to it. If not, then.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much for all your work. And appreciate the explanations. We are moving right along. We are at our last item on the agenda for this evening. And that's a reorganization. And the only thing that I wanted to do tonight with reorg relates to the Community Preservation Fund Committee. As I mentioned to you earlier, we'd be talking about the Community Preservation Fund. And so we'll do that in a second. But I noticed that our chair, Mary Ann Johnson, has not been reappointed for 2018. And this is the committee that meets only when there's either an update to the plan or there's a project in front of it, and we have been notified by application, not yet completely finished by Winnicke Land Trust that they would like to solicit from the town some matching funds, a small percentage of the funds for the acquisition of those 338 acres or so that attach to Rec Park West, go all along Aspinwall Road and 9G and so on and so forth. And so the committee would need to meet and review that matching application. And so I wanted to make sure that we had updated our chair for that committee. And then at the next meeting, we'll meet with our members and reach out to them and make sure they want to stay on. Right now they're in holdover, some of them, and make sure they want to stay on. So I would like to make a motion that we first reappoint Mary Ann Johnson. It's a 3-year appointment, and this would extend her term to 2020. And I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I would then like to make a motion that we reappoint her as the chair of the CPF PDR Advisory Committee with a 1-year term ending at the end of this year, December 31st. All our chairs are 1-year terms.
So moved.
And I so move.
Oh, second.
We had a lot of seconds there.
Yeah.
Looks like you're a third.
Pick one.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So we will reach out to Rich Bazinski to make
Okay,
sure
good.
he wants to stay
He
on.
wants to stay on, he's on.
And
It's
Jerry
great
Second.
soul.
McGorley wants to stay on.
I don't know.
And
That's good.
right now they're in
Yes.
holdover, so they'll be meeting. Okay, that's all I have for reorg. Although, do you want to do communications committee? Did you realize everybody was just 1 year?
Quick
Yeah.
question,
Sir?
on the land purchase you spoke of, what would the town be using that land for?
The acquisition of the properties from the state by Winnicke is primarily for water protection quality. Those parcels, however, are indicated to perhaps be part of the village-to-village trail system. So they would have a walking or biking trail component potentially to those lots. And that would connect to, if you were here earlier, so you heard about the Greenway Grant,
Yeah.
which is now going to fund the trail portion on Rec Park West. And so the town would be looking to further several public purposes, one of which is water protection. The other might be passive recreation in the form of trails, so.
Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you. All right. And so how about communications committee? Can we just update everybody, since it's a 1-year appointment, a combination motion to reappoint Ann Conway, Lisa Pascalo, Vicki Perry, Matthew Bradich, Joey Chevelle.
Teresa Burke should be listed on there. She
I don't know why she
one of the
isn't.
vacant.
Right, Teresa Burke.
I know we emailed about it, but maybe I just didn't ever get. I think we just, since it was a new committee, we just made it a 1-year thing, but I think
Okay.
we've got more work to do, so let's
Yep.
keep going.
Very good, with Sarah being the liaison, and I so move a term ending in 2018. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, and that's all I have for reorg tonight. Does anybody else have anything? We have correspondence. And I think we've mentioned the things we wanted to mention earlier tonight, so that's all I have. Is there any more public comment? Okay, yes, sir.
Couple of questions regarding Rec Park West.
Okay.
Excuse me. I was wondering, with regard to the,
Could you state your name?
I'm sorry, I'm Alex Wolf, I live on Route 199.
Sorry.
With regard to the survey that's being prepared to get sent out, are there any questions on it regarding current uses of the land of Rec Park West and, or questions about sort of passive recreation, outdoor uses other than organized sports?
There are open-ended questions that you can certainly fill in your thoughts on that, yes.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. Okay, and that again is on our town website, redhook.org.
Great, thank you. The other thing I was wondering, I was reviewing some of the other documents, and there was some mention of combined Little League play with Rhinebeck. And I was wondering if that was being considered with regard to sort of field capacity in Rhinebeck as well as Red Hook. Because it seems like Little League has a lot of the demand for ball fields.
Yes, we have, did you want to speak to that, Brandy?
I can speak very generically to it, but yes, we have talked with the recreation director and the Little League folks and are getting a full picture of what the schedule is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, if we have no other public comments, at this time I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations with the highway union. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Thanks.
Set up.